Anyone who grew up playing video games in the 90s is sure to shudder when they hear this dreaded name. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 worst LJN games.
So see that little rainbow right there? LJN. Now we're talking shit.
For those of you who were fortunate enough to miss their heyday, LJN was an infamous video game publishing company in the late 80s and early 90s known for their work on publishing terrible games, mostly games based off popular films, comics, and TV shows.
Is that it?
Today, we're looking at what we consider to be the worst of the worst, so sit back and try to enjoy. We apologize for any flashbacks. Number 10, SpiderMan, Return of the Sinister Six. No wonder Spider-Man gets a bad rep. People are probably still reeling from this tragedy, which follows Spider-Man as he attempts to thwart the Sinister Six, a story loosely adapted from the Marvel miniseries of the early 90s.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, it'll all be explained.
The game is frustrating, as Spider-Man has only one life and the enemies are more than cheap. Critically, it was overall panned for its lack of innovation, as many people expected more of a game at the tail end of their console's life. When your game is being compared to another that is 5 years older, you know that something is wrong.
This is something you have trouble remembering?
Hey, I hear that kind of thing 2-3 times a week.
Number 9, Jaws. This game is arguably scarier than the movie. Not because it's actually scary, it's just terrifying to think that someone would okay this for release. In it, you control a diver who has to fight off jellyfish and stingrays. Wait, in the Jaws game, you don't even battle Jaws? Well, you do, but to say that it's anticlimactic is a bit of an understatement. The gameplay is also boring and repetitive, unless you consider looking for crabs and conch shells fun. Honestly, what happened here? They had such a perfect premise for a game. Okay, maybe they didn't, but still. Number 8, Spirit of Speed, 1937. Okay, here we go. Dreamcast, updated graphics, great time period. This has to be good, right? Well, it's LJN, of course, so it's not. An LJN game for the new millennium. Players are transported back to the 1930s to race classic supercharged race cars. Sounds like an okay premise, but like all games from this publisher, they messed it up royally. The game was panned across the board, with criticisms going towards its awful load times, bland graphics, hilarious hit detection, and of course terrible course design. There are definitely more things wrong with it, but that would require a longer list. Number 7, Beetlejuice. To say this game is based off a popular movie of the same name would be doing a disservice to the movie.
Come on, just come on for a while. We'll talk inside. Come on.
Remember the classic scene where Beetlejuice was fighting mythical creatures in the sewers? Yeah, me neither. In an attempt to scare the Dietz family away from the house, Beetlejuice stomps on cockroaches in order to obtain scare tactics which you use against bosses. If that sounds mind-numbing and boring, that's because it is.
They're not even worth the effort of gathering enough points to buy them.
Like Beetlejuice himself, getting this game is way easier than making it go away. Number 6, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? So, we'll give you one guess as to whether or not this video game was a faithful adaptation of the movie. Sure, Eddie Valiant is in it, but we don't remember the movie being so damn boring.
You don't understand. Those people needed to live.
The gameplay revolves around finding various objects in drawers and chests, and speaking to characters, very few of which are from the movie, to deduce who framed Roger Rabbit. Not only is this tediously boring, but the controls are terrible, leading to the game itself being far more frustrating than necessary. And don't even get us started on those driving levels. Number 5, the Uncanny XMen. In this game, another butchered superhero license, the player controls the titular X-Men, each with their own distinct powers similar to the source material. Sounds kinda decent, right? Well, unfortunately the game falls flat, mostly due to the atrocious friendly AI, who seem to enjoy continuously walking into instant death traps just to get your blood boiling. Then there's the levels, which are so terrible looking that they'll hurt your eyes, and laid out so poorly that you'll often get lost trying to lead your suicidal squad into battle. Man, LJN sure know how to squander good potential.
Let's book.
But the others!
Nothing you can do for them now, Betty.
Number 4, The Karate Kid. Remember how great this film was? Well, we assume that's what everyone kept saying to themselves as they forced their way through this game.
You karate do gesso, just like grip. Understand?
You play as a poorly animated Daniel LaRusso as you fight through 4 whole stages in the entire game. The gameplay is basically pressing a button and kicking an opponent until his life bar is completely drained. And what are you rewarded with? A terrible Mr. Miyagi head telling you that you've become a master. I'd rather have my money back, thanks. Number 3, Terminator 2 Judgment Day. There are actually 4 versions of this game, one for the NES, one for the SNES, one for Amiga and DOS, and another for the Game Boy. There was a Genesis version that wasn't actually published by LJN, but it's just as bad.
I swear I will not kill anyone.
While the game is a surprisingly faithful adaptation, I know this is shocking, it lacks in other areas. Some of these include the graphics, which are bland and unimaginative, and the annoying, repetitive music. It's also really never clear just what you're supposed to be doing, so it's easy to get both frustrated and lost. Suffice to say, we won't be back to play this again. Number 2, Bill and Ted's Excellent Video Game Adventure. Who thought that this game would be a good idea? Honestly, who saw the movie and decided, yep, that would make a perfect video game?
Do you know when the Mongols ruled China?
The game follows the titular heroes as they attempt to rescue kidnapped historical characters and find historical baits, all while running into bushes because apparently that's important. The game features bad, arrogant jokes galore and is borderline unplayable, especially due to the lack of clues signifying where the historical baits are located. Also, get this, the famous rebellious duo can't walk on the grass, they have to stick to the beaten path. How lame is that? Before we traumatize you with our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions, or in this case, dishonorable mentions. Number 1, Back to the Future. Unfortunately, we don't have Marty's DeLorean to go back and prevent this game from ever happening, so we're forced to tell you about it.
This is heavy duty, Doc.
For one thing, the gameplay revolves entirely around collecting clocks in order to prevent the vanishing of Marty's future. Yeah, that makes sense and sounds like a ton of fun. It's also irritatingly difficult, and the looping music makes you want to pierce out your eardrums. While the sequel, Back to the Future Part 2 and 3, was no winner either, it's nothing compared to the travesty that is this game, often considered to be the worst of all time. Do you agree with our list? What LJN game do you still have nightmares about? For more scathing top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.